From the beginning of Forge and Brains podcast, we've had the great sponsor, Farrier Box. They're doing something that's really different in our trade to give you guys, anything of the latest and greatest tools and designs that you may not necessarily want to go purchase off the shelf because you're unsure, but they'll give it to you in a subscription box every other month. So you can go to the website, farrierbox.com, use code BRAINS, and get yourself 25% off your first month's box. They're innovative and doing something kind of that hasn't been done before in our trade. So go show your support, sign up with Farrier Box, and you won't be disappointed with all the pretty cool stuff that you get. There's a lot of things that I implement in my day-to-day shoeing that I probably wouldn't actually have gone out because I'm kind of a tightwad when it comes to stuff like that. And so it's pretty cool to have Farrier Box supporting Forge and Brains and helping you guys out through your day-to-day life too.
Welcome everybody to another episode of Forge and Brains podcast. I'm your host, Riley Kirkpatrick. Got my co-host Gavin with me, and we got Jukes with us today. We're here still at the WCB Winter Clinic at Wellshod in Amarillo, and man, it's just a great time to get with some guys and get some podcasts done. The in-person ones are always my favorite doing over the phone. It's just better. And Jukes is leaving us soon. So it's visa's almost up. Got to get out of the country. I don't think that's it. Like, Trump's in office. He's gonna kick you out. Yeah. Any day he's coming.
Trump's back in. We gotta get it out of here.
Yeah, any day he's gonna come knocking. I bet Australians are probably last on his list. Probably. He's like, we'll deal with them with the Islanders.
Well, he knows we're good guys.
Yeah.
We had you on like early on days. I think you were our third episode ever.
Yep.
Like starting out, and it's
like
one of our most viewed and listened to episodes still. So
I want to say you were our first actual guest.
You were.
Like where we did it on a remote online and figured it all out.
Yeah. Had a few ups and downs on that episode.
Dude.
A take two here and there.
That's right. We had to do a take two and record another day to finish.
Dude, yeah, some bumps in the. It's funny to think that was 2 years ago when we first started this thing. Like it's been a little bit of a go.
People like to hear from you.
Yeah. No, it's good to be back on here, and the plan is to go home here pretty soon. I've been over here for 22 years.
So how
long time.
22 years in Texas.
Yep.
Wow.
Yep.
And so you're moving back to Australia. And what part of Australia?
So I'm from Scone, New South Wales. That's 4 hours north of Sydney. That region's it's the Hunter Valley. So it's actually the horse capital of Australia, Scone.
Oh, really?
Yeah. Big time thoroughbred industry there, So lots of horses. That's where I cut my teeth, and then that's where I'm going to be moving back to. Yeah.
What has kind of made this decision? You've been here in Texas for 22 years, or the United States for 20 years. Why are you willing to go back now?
So I feel like it's always been in my long-term plan, like, what they say, it's like there's no place like home. And it's like I was super excited when I was younger to get out there and see a little bit more of the world, see what it was like on the other side, you know what I mean? So I feel like I've done that. Being in this industry too, and through the people I've met along the way over here, getting involved with the WCB, that's opened a lot of doors for me, which I've got to travel a lot with these guys too, being on the team, getting to go to England, Canada, it's like it's been great, man. Like the journey's been super cool. But it was always part of the plan to go back home, So I think it's that to do the things I want to do in Australia, now's the time,
Mm-hmm.
So I am getting older, you know what I mean? So it's like if I don't do it now, it's like will I ever do it, So
What are some of those things you want to do there?
Obviously I want to keep shoeing horses. I want to keep pursuing the tool making, and I think like the at the age I'm at now, I really don't want to be. I don't want horseshoeing to be my sole source of income, right? So
Yeah.
what in the Hunter Valley there, in that region, the coal mining industry is huge as well. Australia, all over Australia, actually, the coal mining industry is pretty big. Right now, Australia's biggest power source is still coal, even though they're talking about making the switch to nuclear and stuff like that. But coal mining industry is huge in Australia. It's what my father done. It's what my brother does now, and it's just it's a pretty stable job.
And, like I've watched that Australia show where they're digging for opal and stuff like that. And I'm sure there's probably different degrees of it, but like, what in general does the coal industry look like? Like, what are guys doing? What is the jobs?
So a lot of them, it's open. There still is underground coal mining going on, but a lot of it's open cut coal mining. So
Pits.
big pits. So huge earthwork, earth moving equipment. So giant trucks, bulldozers, loaders, and all that kind of stuff. And
They got the massive excavators that are
big excavators and
big drag shovels.
Yeah, but it's just, it's non-stop. They run around the clock. You know what I mean? So it's shift work, but that's what I like about it is it's a pretty reliable source of income. You get your insurance and your benefits and all the stuff that come with it. And it's shift work, so you 5 on, 4 off, 4 on, 5 off, and then on the time off, that still allows me to do the things I'm passionate about, which is shoeing horses and making tools, forging. I'd still like to be able to compete for the next several years too.
Yep.
Still haven't made it up to Spruce Meadows yet, but that's in the game plan as well.
Yep.
And it's just going to be good to get home and be around my family again.
So you're gonna end up working with your brother then?
So no, probably not. But my brother, he's still pretty local. He moved just a couple of hours south of Mum and Dad, but he's in the Hunter Valley right there. So my sister moved over to the West Coast, which the mining over on the West Coast big time too, But yeah,
You always hear like in movies like where they take place in like West Virginia or whatever, and they got one smart child, and they're like, "We don't want you to work in the mines. Like you're too good for this." Like you're almost excited to go work for the mines in a way. It kind of sounds like.
Oh well, I was never really good at school, Coop. Like I was a bit of a troubled child, would you say? I got
I think most of us under the tent are in that boat. We were like,
not the best.
So I wasn't very good at numbers.
Yeah.
It's good at hitting stuff.
Yeah, shop class.
Yeah.
We're
was there.
A+ students, History, geography, not so much.
Not so much.
No, I've always liked, I've liked working with my hands, and I like the practical aspect of those kind of crafts. It's like
It'll give you a way to build a book of horses as well. The 5 on.
If you
want. Yeah, like the guy that taught me how to shoe horses, Dave Winter. Mm-hmm. Still runs a big practice there in the Hunter Valley. He's always been in the thoroughbred industry there. And it's not the track shoeing, like these places. It's the breeding facilities. So it's all the brood mares, the stallions, and then it's a lot of correctional work on all the foals, weaners, and yearlings. Because all these thoroughbreds they get sold as yearlings. Mm-hmm. And then they go on to the track and whatnot. But it's all breeding farm work, so it's a lot of trimming, which is good, and a lot of correctional work on all the young stock. You know what I mean? But I would like to go back and spend a little bit more time with Dave.
Yeah.
Have you talked to him much recently?
Yeah, I've always stayed in touch with Dave. Yep.
So he knows you're coming back.
Yep.
And is he going to let you jump in with him? And
Yeah, absolutely. So that's who I was back there in August for the month. We got to go and judge the Australasian Championships, which was held in Brisbane, Queensland, Australia, and I actually got to judge that contest with Dave.
Oh, really?
So that was super cool.
So cool.
That's like
Full circle.
That's something that's on your bucket list, right? Is to be able to judge a contest with your old mentor. It was great, man. Had a blast. It was a really good time. Yeah.
Does like Australia, do they have, so like here in the States we have the WCB, do they have something kind of similar in that sense of like competition circuit?
Absolutely.
Or something
The competitions in Australia, it's I feel like it's the same as over here. I feel like it's a little bit of a bigger scale over here, but obviously there's a lot more people over here, you know. So, but there's a bunch of hungry guys back home too that live and breathe it, you know. They have contests all over the country. So they have their state contests. They have some team contests as well. Actually, when I get back there in May, Ian Gyjak's judging it's like the Heavy Horse World Cup in Gatton, Queensland, Australia. And it's a 3-man.
Gatton?
Gatton.
Gatton.
Yep, up in Queensland. It's a 3-man event, so...
the Clydesdale World Championship.
Clydesdale shoeing.
Yep.
That's cool.
Yep.
We've also got the great sponsor, Yukon Forge. It's great to hear from John McNerney on how he came up with the shoe list for the Amarillo West Texas Ranch Rodeo WCB, because we just went through that with Riley and myself trying to come up with the shoe list for the Fort Worth WCB. John's also got a whole line of different tools that you guys can go get. He's got tongs, hoof knives, fullers, hammers, the wrenchless propane nut. You know, he's got everything, and he's always trying to come up with different ideas on how to, you know, make his tools better and work for you guys. Whatever works for you guys, he wants to, you know, work on that as well, implement them into his tool designs. So you can go to his website, yukonforge.com, use the code BRAINS, and it'll get you 10% off anything on his website. He also just had something he's working on coming out with the Flying V, guys, and it's a bird hunting knife. So handmade knives that John and Flying V guys are coming out with, which is also a pretty cool project. He's also been working with Todd Walker and revitalizing Todd's tool line. So recently, John had come out and talked to us about purchasing the Flatland Forge driving hammer business. So John with Yukon Forge actually now is producing all the driving hammers that Jim Poor had created with the Flatland Forge line, and he's producing those. And he also, on top of that, he's got the new design that's revitalized by Edward Martin, the driving hammer. It has the little thistle on the side, and that's actually one that I'm using in my day-to-day practice now because it swings so great. I had used the regular Flatland Forge driving hammer basically my whole career until John sent me the one with the thistle, and it swings great. So go over, check them out, and we appreciate you sponsoring the podcast, John. You're going to do it with them?
Yeah, I'm going to do it with Dave and his apprentice. Yeah.
Oh, sweet.
That'd be super cool.
Yeah.
Super, super cool, man. Yeah.
So is there any, like, I remember you, like, the government paid for your schooling pretty much for horseshoeing. I remember, like, you got to go to school with that. Is there any type of schooling they require for you to go into the coal mining? And if there is, or
absolutely.
Do they pay for it?
A lot of it's on site. So you'll start with like a traineeship, and during your traineeship, that's what it is. Like obviously it's hazardous. You're working with massive equipment and stuff like that. Yep. So you've got to do all your safety courses and your physicals and all that kind of stuff, and then they'll train you on all the machines. You know, I think most of your traineeships are like 18 months. And throughout that time, you'll get trained on all the machines and stuff like that.
Okay.
In the mines,
Yeah.
Wow, that's pretty cool.
Yeah, it's cool.
Yeah.
Like, I think it'll be good, man. I tell people all the time of, like, the best thing about how I set my life up is I get to say no.
Yes.
If you have something else, you get to say no to the bad horses, to the shit that you don't want to do.
Yeah.
So if you have the mind, you're like, no, I don't want to do that. That's unfun.
I feel like you have to be...
So you got to, like, do the parts you like?
Yes. And I think you've got to be... We're all horseshoers, and I feel like you have to be honest with yourself. It's a hard job.
Yeah.
Very.
And
Very.
we see it. We know a bunch of these old guys that have been in the trade their whole life, and it breaks your body down.
Yep.
It does.
Yep.
Like, so I feel like you have to have an exit strategy, you know, and it's like I don't want to be a crippled old man. Like, I don't.
Nope. I'm right
You know
there
what
with
I mean?
you.
Do it, but that doesn't mean I've lost the love for this trade. I love this trade, and I'd like to do it for as long as I can, but the numbers need to be cut back.
Yep.
At some point.
People don't. I think there's different people out there, right? Like, I've known you for a while now. You've been a dude that you're cool doing a few numbers here and there, but you'd rather not. Like, you've always been a dude that, like last time I think we talked to you, like, yeah, I got one client right now.
Yeah.
You're like, that's it. It's like, I do these ones. Like, you've always been a dude that's like, I'm not trying to die.
Yeah.
And just kill myself on these horses. Where very perspective of you to be able to like look around the trade and be like, okay, here's this dude. He's killing himself doing a bunch of horses, even though he feels rich right now.
Yeah.
That's not you're never gonna make enough doing 20 a day to pay for your retirement.
No, and how like
You're just not.
What's a hip replacement cost?
Exactly.
What's it cost to fuse 3 discs in your back? You know, what's a knee replacement cost? To me, it's
just die.
Yeah, or die. Yeah.
Like, I hate to like shake it to that, but it's like, man, I've been kicked in the belly before and been sitting in the hospital for 3 weeks straight, and it's like,
no bueno.
could have just been not 3 weeks straight, could have been dead.
Death.
So when that sucker's standing there kicking the cross ties and you have another choice of income, say, I'm good.
Yeah.
I'm going home.
I'm gonna go home. You know.
Not that's the one for another guy.
Yeah.
It's like, I understand your need to get that horse shod. It's not going to be by me.
Not
There's
by
going to
me.
be somebody there to go do it.
But if you don't have that other source of income, if you don't have, like, you already thinking of like, oh, this is going to give me an hourly pay, insurance, retirement. It's going to take care of all those things that also sometimes guys in our trades aren't good at doing on their own. So it does it for you.
Yeah.
And then, well, now I get to do the horses that I want to do.
Yeah.
Win-win.
Win-win. You know.
But you see that of like I see too. Of like, okay, I don't want to be the dude shoeing horses still. I want to be the Jim Poor. They're like, Jim found other things to do with his money.
He had an exit strategy.
Yes.
Now he just gets to have fun playing the forge.
Right.
But don't you think people look at it from the outside? I think they do look at you like, oh, you don't like horseshoeing anymore.
But it's not the case. It's not the case.
Yeah.
I love horseshoeing more than ever. You know what I mean? But it's like I don't like pushing my body but beyond the limits, right? And it's like, and it's not only that, it's like I like to uphold a certain standard at work. So
Yes.
beyond a certain number of horses, the standard drops off drastically, you know? So, and that's usually around the time as well when you crawl under number 5 for the day. Old back's starting to get a little stiff.
Oh, yeah.
You know, and then so that's when the standard starts dropping off.
You know, propane's starting to run low.
Yeah.
You're like, I'm out of water.
Yeah. The mental game starts falling off a little bit.
Yep.
You know, so it's like there's a magic number, man.
It's not sustainable.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, it's just like I'm a dude too. That, like I like pushing myself. Like I like going hunting and thinking like, oh, we might die today. You know, we might be walking a little too far. Might be a little too much weight on us. Like this is gonna. But it's that type of like hurt and not fun and danger that you're like, it's not everlasting. We're like, man, when you push through the end of a hard day shoeing, where you're like, my back's hurting on number 4 and I got 7 to do.
Yeah.
And I have to shove through it.
It's a
By
bad
the end of
spot.
it, you're sliding into your truck backwards. You know, like that's a type of pain that's not fun. Like it doesn't go away.
It's not a good pain.
It's not fun.
No.
It's no way around. You're like, oh yeah, that was type 2 fun. Or later it was cool. You're like, it was just never cool. It was never like it took me a while to grab. I'm like, I'm doing this just for dude, it's just a fucking thing. And horseshoers love saying, I did 20 today.
Yeah. I've never like found why that's so cool. Like why people want to say, yeah, I did 20 today, and
Dude,
look at me.
I remember
Yeah, you're like, well, I bet they look like shit.
Yeah.
You know
someone
what I mean?
asked me, like, what's your ideal number of horses in a day? I'm like, 1. If I could figure out how to charge $800 for 1,
Big gravy.
I would do just 1. Always. Like, I would never do
sign
any
me
more.
up. Yeah,
Yeah,
sign me
like,
up.
I would never do the rest of them.
Yeah.
1 is the right number.
Yeah.
Like, that is ideal. I do not want to do a bunch, because you're right, dude. It's like, even you've done enough team practices. It's like, man, there's a certain number of the day that we
Yeah.
probably shouldn't do 4.
No,
Team
four's,
goes.
I mean, 3's the magic number, and that's a big day.
Yep.
Like they're 2.5 hour goes. Usually at a practice, you do a 2 hour go to allow for the judges'
Yep.
time you're going to have at the contest, right? But so that's 6 hours out of the day under the clock.
Mm-hmm.
You know.
Then you're looking it over, and then the prep beforehand.
Yeah, exactly. Like you get
It's
the
a
game
lot.
plan beforehand. You're talking about you're going over your mistakes and everything between horses, and then if practice was really rough, you need to work on more stuff. Well, then after the practice, then you're back in the forge making shoes, working on your weaknesses again. So it's a long day.
Yeah, and that's only 3 feet.
Yeah.
But it feels like a whipper at the end of the day, where it's like, man, after that, things are going to start going downhill.
Yeah.
It's really no good.
Yeah. Yeah.
So it's kind of cool right now. You guys got a classic team going together.
Yep.
You're the ones to say bad motherfucker on it.
That's right. Yeah.
How has practices been going?
It's been great.
First of all, who's all on your team?
Chris actually, he, once he found out I was going home and stuff, and like we stay in touch. So
Chris
Madrid, and I've spent a lot of time with Chris, and I've learned a lot from Chris, and I feel like he was the guy that got me over the hump. I was on the team with the WCB team with Chris, and he's just a really good friend, man. So we really wanted to get together again before I went home, and one last run together. You know what I mean? So to be Chris Madrid, Bodie Trinker would be on the back feet back there with Chris. I think Chris is on the left hind, Bodie's on the right hind. I'll be on old faithful left front, and we have Carl Vire on the right front. So
Carl the front footer now.
Carl's a front footer now. He picked it up pretty quick too, and I mean, I have seen Carl do front feet before, but on the team he was always back there on the back foot. It seemed like, but
Yep.
we've had a couple of practices now together. And Carl's he's a good horseshoer, man.
Handy.
He picked it up really quick. So super excited about that. We've still got another. We have another practice with the WCB team actually up at Matt Finler's place here in a couple of weeks, where we're going to get onto the heavy horses, drafts and roadsters, and then the following weekend will be the contest up there in Kentucky. So
That would be pretty
I
good.
mean,
That'd be nice.
yeah, practice has been going good, but you guys know what it's like. It's tough, man. There's a lot of stuff to work on,
It was interesting. Like, I swung by your guys' anvil and was watching. I think it was you and Carl making some tool and fuller shoes, and like, you guys were just talking about like how to get you guys were getting the heels come all the way around to the inside, to like make them nice. And it was kind of funny. I went down to the other end of the trailer, and there's some guys. I think it was the Cat 2 team right now, and they're practicing tool and fuller, and they're kind of talking about it. And you guys were under this like. You weren't bummed out that you needed to work on it.
No.
You just knew you needed to work on it.
That's what we needed to work on.
But those guys were working on almost the same thing, but were so bummed out and almost felt kind of like, I'm not trying to like call those guys out at all. Like, I'm hopefully making them realize that it's like, they're like, man, I can't believe that this is what we're working on. I'm like, dude, these guys
Are doing the
are
same
probably
thing.
going to win it. And they're down there working on the same
We're
thing,
doing
man.
the same thing.
Like, so
Yeah.
it is really cool to see like you got like, especially for me, like you guys are at the top, you know, like have been around forever. Like you guys are always the team guys, and you guys are still working on the same.
Is this your first time doing a
basics.
team with Bodie, or have you done any team
I've
stuff with Bodie?
done a couple with Bodie. I think we're on the Four Horsemen,
That's
which is
right.
where we had Chad Chance. So it's myself, Chad, Chris Madrid, and Bodie, and had that was a good team.
That might have been when we talked to you last. You guys were doing that.
No, the
Right,
Four
maybe.
Horsemen I think was a while back.
That was a while back.
Because that was before you guys did Team Flatland.
No. So
Really?
Team Flatland was back at the
Classic.
classic days.
Kentucky.
I think the Four Horsemen was post-COVID.
Okay,
Stuff started happening again.
that might have
Ray
been the
kind
last
of
year.
changed the format, and we were jumping around doing team contests.
And different type of teams. We were doing flat shoes. At
Flat
some of them.
shoes, flat draft shoes,
Yep.
and a journeyman class, and then I think the tool and pulley class was without the cork and wedge. It was flat tool and
Just
pulley
flat tool and
class.
puller,
Yeah.
Hunter fronts,
Yes.
Pines, pleasure ladder.
Yeah.
That was a cool contest.
That was a lot of fun, and
It
there
is.
was multiple. So, you know, the classic's always been my favorite,
Yeah.
and the 4-man team format's always been my favorite. You
It
know
is
what
the
I mean?
best.
They're super fun. So that that was fun. The fact that back then on that Four Horsemen team there was at least 3 4-man events you could go to that
Yep.
year. You know?
Yep.
So you guys have done a team. You guys are pretty well accustomed to each other. Like now, coming up to this year, have there been any hurdles you have, like new hurdles that you've had to try to overcome and adapt, or has it kind of just been smooth sailing?
I think it's definitely not like riding a bike.
Yeah.
You know, it's not.
Really? Yeah, you would think like all you guys on it have been on so many teams. You think it would just.
Mesh. Yeah.
I mean, it kind of
What do you think?
it takes that first, because when everyone reaches out and we're like, all right, let's you want to do this thing, let's put this team together, and you're like, yeah, that would be great, you know. So everyone, you get the group message put together,
Yep.
you know, the group chat
All
put
done
together,
well.
and then you start practicing. Everyone starts making shoes, posting shoes, and
Almost like its own little competition right there.
It
You
is.
You put the group message together. And you're like, no one's posted a shoe to the group yet.
Yeah.
I'm gonna go out there
I'm
and
gonna be
make
the
one.
one.
yeah.
I'm gonna go make one.
Yeah, I'll make one, you know. And it's like you kind of think you're doing good at the shop
By yourself.
by yourself, no time limit. You think you're doing really well, and then the first practice comes around, and you're like, shit.
Turns out I might not have my shit together.
You know, everyone's dealing with it though, because everyone goes to that first practice, and no one wants to be that guy.
But it doesn't feel like everybody else is dealing with it. It feels like I'm the only one that's fucking
You're
up
like,
right now.
man,
You're
I'm
like,
the one that sucks right now.
yeah, like, sorry
You know?
guys. Sorry guys.
Yeah, I feel that way all the time.
But it does. It's definitely not like riding a bike. You need to get under horses. All of those classes are pretty tough, man. Like the tool and fullered, super tight tolerance on fit. Your measurements need to be extremely dialed in.
Yep.
And then you go into the roadster class, which is on the other end of the spectrum as far as fit goes.
Yeah.
You know, you still need to be super dialed in on your measurements, and the draft class, man. I feel like the draft class that's the hardest one. You know, it's pretty taxing on your body. They're big shoes.
It gasses you on the trim. Gasses you on the bump.
Yeah, everywhere.
Every single part. And it's not tool and fuller's like, man, it's a lot of forging. But your striker gets to do
striker.
so much.
Yeah.
Man,
It's
they
more
don't
finesse,
with the
too.
ag heel. You're just on it. And it's not even just whipping on your hammer arm.
Yes.
It's whipping on your tong
They're
hand.
big and heavy. You know.
Big. Especially, I always think that too of like, I want to draw the smallest draft of the day.
Yeah.
Because, dude, that big sucker, it's going to suck holding that shoe up, putting a heel on it.
I still
it's just not fun.
I
dude.
still remember that year at the Classic. You guys came there, and it was super funny.
It wasn't that funny
It
at
was
all,
super funny.
dude.
Well, you
It
know,
wasn't that funny.
the team name was Team Sasquatch, and then it was draft day rolls around, And I mean, this woolly mammoth came
Dude,
in.
he was huge.
This thing was massive.
Huge.
But
So they felt so bad for us. They like, you guys can go ahead and trim before the clock starts.
yeah, they gave
Like,
it,
it's
yeah.
okay.
Yeah.
You guys-
Holy
That
cow.
horse was so big, man. I'd never seen, feet that big before. Like, that guy was a giant.
Dude, I swear I have that horse on my books right now.
This episode's brought to you by the World Championship Blacksmiths. They just finished up with their event at Wellshod, the Winter Clinic, and right now, as I'm recording this, they're competing at the World Horseshoeing Classic, and the guy that won the best shod foot in the draft day was Robert Jukes. That's pretty cool. We're talking to him right now. Their next event after the Classic is the West Texas Ranch Rodeo with the judge John McNerney, and that's in Amarillo, Texas, April 9th. The WCB puts on the best horseshoeing competitions around the world, in my opinion, bar none. And the WCB is more than just a place where you can go and compete. You're actually networking and you're building relationships with folks that you wouldn't necessarily meet if you hadn't gone out there and shook some hands and met some people. As Craig likes to say, your vibe attracts your tribe. So it'd help if you show your support and you go to worldchampionshipblacksmiths.com, and they have a whole section there of merchandise where you can show your support by sporting some merch. And then on their website, you can use code BRAINS and get yourself 10% off any merchandise. It's not including contest fees or membership. So help share your support, and we're looking forward to seeing you guys in Amarillo, Texas.
Really?
She came leading him out of the barn. I was like,
Oh,
oh
boy.
my
no.
gosh. Like he is so big. Like you can like put both hands down side of his sole and like you still see hoof wall on either side of your hands. You're like,
Big enough.
dude, he's huge.
Plenty big enough.
Good one. I was like, man, this is 1.5 inch practice.
Yeah.
Like,
Yeah.
this is like,
This is big.
that's a good
For the
one.
big boys. Yeah.
That's a good one. It is cool to hear though, like even guys of your caliber still happen to like mesh together some and just like get some horses under your belts, kind of bump into each other a little
And
bit
it
for a
does,
little
like,
while.
and that's it.
Like-
Meshing together. Even, I know Chris and Bodie have worked together a pile of times.
Ton.
They've been up there to Spruce, and those guys work together a lot. But they still had to mesh together at that first practice, man. It was like
Yep.
everyone has their own style, but it's a little bit of give and take, man. You got to meet in the middle there because, it's what we're shooting for, man. We're shooting for the judges to come around, and that horse needs to look like one man shod the horse.
Yep.
That's your goal.
Yep.
It's the same for me and Carl on the front feet. It was like, we just got to meet each other in the middle a little bit. Your heels, you trim, like it's everything. You need to
Especially that tool and folder day.
turn them forward. Yeah.
Dude, like the trim's gonna be a little different on draft day.
Yeah.
It's gonna be okay.
Yeah.
But man, tool and folder day, like on the fronts too, it's like everything is gonna be real sweet.
It's
Come
got to
back
be
together.
pretty sweet. Yeah.
So it's definitely like you and Carl both. You guys have a pretty, I guess, like thinking about it right now, you guys have a pretty close style though, of
Yeah.
very sharp and crisp.
Yeah.
So I'm sure it hasn't been too crazy to
No.
mesh up.
No, I think, on the fronts up there, I think it's all about that back half. You know what I mean?
Sure.
And I think the foot bearing gets overlooked. That's what a lot of guys struggle with on the tool and fullet is the foot bearing. The foot bearing surface, because that's all. If you get your foot bearing dialed in,
What do you mean by it? Like
So-
of how it's going to be tapered?
well,
Or-
it comes down to your measurement too, right? If you're fitting with a penciled heel,
Yep.
right? So when you're making that section, you're running it through the block, and you pull it out, you've got to put a penciled heel on it. I feel like a lot of guys that are learning, they get caught up with the ground bearing surface when it's the foot bearing surface that you really need to be focused on, right?
Yep. Yep.
So everything above that, you're going to tear it off with a file anyway. So the foot bearing surface is super important. It's where you need to leave a little bit of money in the bank to be able to carve in whatever style buttress you're trying to fit. You need to leave a little thickness in the bank to be able to rast down, fudge around, and
Get it flat.
yeah, flat. You don't need any puckers in the foot bearing surface. You know what I mean? So It sounds easy, just a simple little penciled heel, but a lot
They're
goes
hard.
into it.
I think like
yeah.
the thing I see the most often, like going from like watching like new guys making tool and folder and then watching you guys make a tool and folder, is when guys like that I see when guys do the heels is they just want to go so steep.
Yeah.
They act like they're putting a heel on a 3/4 folder.
Right.
I mean, they do the same thing when they're making 3/4 folder shoes. The shoe has no section, right? So it's just like, it's full width all the way from the toe, just all the way through, and then bam,
Yeah.
like it is like someone just sharpened the end of a pencil.
Yep.
So there's these corners, and then they never blend any of those
Never
corners
blend
back.
it in.
Where you see like your shoe job you had yesterday, it's like when the fold of the foot comes around, that section's coming in with that fold too.
Exactly.
All the way, like that's where that heel's almost starting.
That's it. Yeah.
Is at the widest point.
Right. It's where the foot changes, the bridge of the foot. It's where it starts to make that fold. Right?
It's a fold,
So-
and it's also like, if you just put that, if you make a pencil heel and put the point in the center, like everyone tells you to do, you're gonna be on the outside of the heel,
a lot of the times. Yeah.
dude. Like 98% of the time.
I was yesterday on my outside heel.
Like you have and that it's gonna happen on an outside heel on the front and a lot on the inside heel of the hind end.
Yeah.
Even if you're making your wedge, dude, that point needs to be all on the inside.
Yeah.
If not, you're gonna have to kink the heel to get to the
Yeah,
point
it's
to
like
cover
crap.
it. Like you're gonna have to. So it's like, I think it's one thing. Like you watch tool and folder guys. It's like, dude, just
Cut it
don't
over.
even put a check on that inside.
Yeah.
Just point all the way from the widest point
Over.
all the way back
Yeah.
around. So it's like that is the
Flow.
bend and flow in your shoe, man. It is. I think guys get so caught up looking at those lines on the top.
They do, and it's like on the heels. You see a lot of the guys learning, coming up. You know, and I helped a lot of the guys out there this weekend, and I actually put that little storyboard keychain thing
Yeah, that
together
was
on
cool.
the honey
That's
heels,
sweet.
right?
I do have a question about that. What was the little button on the finished one? Like you had your section drawn out, and there was just like a little round button.
Yeah, a little button. So that's my front block's got a splitter blade in it.
Mhm.
So to do that, I just plucked the little
Oh, the-
splitter blade out, and then so when I sunk that metal in there,
Went
it
into
kind
the
of
button.
sunk down into the little
button.
hole a little bit.
Oh,
You know
okay.
what I mean?
I was wondering what
But-
that was.
So it's a fuck up, Gavin. Thanks for bringing it up.
Yeah.
Thanks
Well, I was
for
like,
fucking mentioning
yeah.
that.
Yeah.
I wasn't gonna say anything.
No, but the guys, it's like I wanted to put that in there because that's a make or break you deal on the Hunter fronts. Is if you don't get it forged out to a pencil, right, to a sharp point
Yep.
in the beginning, well then your measurements, like a lot of the time, that's how you come short because you have to rasp back
To get
to
it.
get
The
a,
flow.
Dude,
a
that's
pencil
so
heel.
true. There's so much mass you're rasping off.
You have to rasp back, and then like by the time you get an actual honey heel rasped in,
Mm-hmm.
well then your measurement's off by like sometimes up to 3/8 of an inch, which
Dude,
is
and you
huge.
see
That's a lot.
it. You see so many new guys go to the foot,
They're like, uh-oh.
and it almost looks like a shoe was made and just cropped in the heel.
Yeah.
Like it's like,
Yeah.
but you're like, yeah, they're short. You're like,
I'm like, uh-oh. Yeah.
gotta do the look up. Like, yeah, I see it too, bud. I've never thought about like that is so much money in the bank right there
Yeah.
that you're just throwing away.
Yeah. Yeah.
Wow.
But it also, I think it's like, I know for me too, is like when I was first starting, it's like the thought of determining how much something was going to grow and actually sticking to that was daunting.
It's
Where
kind of
I'm like,
scary. Yeah.
where it's like, even like today, we made a shoe in the demo. We're like, okay, we're going to make it out of 3/8 by 1. We have to get 1.5 inches of stretch out of it. Before I'd be like, man, that seems crazy to think we're actually going to hit 1.5 inches. Or we're going to hit any measurement. You know what I mean?
Right.
Like, it's the same thing. Like, if you know you got to hammer on a tool and folder that much, it's like,
That's the
You gotta
make it
be
or
there.
break it
you got to be
deal
there.
right there.
Yeah. Super freaking
Yeah.
hard.
Do you feel like there's any like sentimental value in doing this last contest as a team before you head back home?
Absolutely. Like I said, just with these these guys, you know, and Chris especially, man, it was like I feel like I owe him so much, man. It was I reached out to him for help, asked him if he would mind if I came out to his shop and could he teach me, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
And he did, man. He opened up his shop. He let me in. He helped me along the way. He's the guy that got me onto the team, man. You know.
Yeah.
And for that, I'll be forever grateful. You know.
Yeah.
Do you feel you catch yourself like putting any more time for this one than other ones you have? Like, I'm sure you've practiced hard for other ones too, but it's kind of like a little bit of last.
I'm just embracing it, man. It's like I know I'm not going to be able to do this again with these guys.
Yeah.
You know, for a while. You know, and when I went home in August, I'd talked to some of my buddies over there and talked about, you know, getting an Aussie team together, come back over here to the Classic. You know what I mean? That's going to be fun too. But, you know, it's pretty special getting to knowing that it's, you know, probably the last time you're going to do a team with your buddies over here. You know what I mean? It's pretty special, you know?
Yeah.
So just trying to embrace it, you know, enjoy it, you know. The practices, you know, out here, we had our go yesterday, you know. Still could have, you know, I feel like it was a smooth run, but definitely could have been better, you know. So we keep chipping away at it. And
it does seem like I'm sure you are worried about winning. You know, you want to win, but it also seems like
we're all competitive.
Yeah, but
we all like
it's
winning,
also
you
a
know?
very, you can tell you're like, dude, I am just soaking in the sights.
Yeah.
Like it's a like obviously it's like I think it's mature. Me and Money were talking about earlier. It's like you like different maturity and ages. You start realizing things.
Oh, I feel like
So I'm sure you're
I
kinda
don't want to
there.
say that I didn't appreciate any of this kind of stuff before. It's like I always enjoy it, but it's like knowing that I'm going to be going home and whatnot. It's like it's a little bit more special this time around, you know.
Yeah.
When I was
For
up
sure.
in Spruce this last year, I met like Matt Bilderbeck and Peter Head, and I think they're from Australia.
Absolutely, yeah.
Are they kind of close in where you're
Peter
gonna be?
Head.
Is he?
Peter Head is, yeah.
Okay.
Nice.
Yep. Yeah, super good guys, man. I got to hang out with all them guys in Queensland when I was over there too, and they're just excited about all this stuff as we are over here, you know. Like I feel like we're at what, it doesn't matter what country you're in. It's like
That's what I was gonna ask.
the
Like,
farriers that like owning their trade.
yep.
I mean, they're all ate up with it.
Kind of the
You
same
know.
people.
Yeah, they're the
everywhere.
same people. Yeah.
What are some differences you've realized, like, compared to of American type people? Like, there's some similarities, like you say, but it's like, what are some major differences between here
America
and there?
is super diverse, man. Like, I mean, you're always gonna, it's a broad spectrum of, you know, horseshoers throughout the country, right? Like, you always got your old backyarders and what, but I feel like in America, it's like, it's a very broad spectrum.
Really? So over there, it's like, if you got horses, it's probably a nice place.
I feel like the industry standard, like in Europe and then places like, you know, Australia, New Zealand and stuff like, I feel like the industry standards, like it's a little tighter. You know what I mean? I don't feel like it's as big a broad of a spectrum as it is here in America, you know.
That makes sense.
Let's talk about the greatest horseshoeing supply house in the world, Wellshod. They're located in Amarillo, Texas, and you know, it says a lot about who they are and what they support by, you know, allowing us all to come there and, you know, basically just tear up the whole Wellshod building. So they pretty much have every tool that you can imagine or every supply that you can imagine that you need to, you know, use in your business. Just go onto their website, www.wellshod.com, and they got everything you can need, any tool, supply, and also the $10 flat rate shipping. So can't get much better than that. If you use code BRAINS at checkout, they'll send you a little surprise gift in there as well. So support those who support you. think that says a lot about the companies that have supported Forging Brains and been a part with us. Is, you know, they're invested in you guys as well. So help them survive by supporting them and, you know, purchasing the things they have to offer. So thank you guys.
That's what I've noticed the most.
And do you
know?
think that plays too with horseshoer wise? Like there's a bigger spectrum of horseshoers here than.
Yeah, absolutely. But I still go back to like, I never think you'll be able to make it work here in America for that reason. But it's the apprenticeship system, you know.
Yeah.
We have a solid apprenticeship system in Australia. That's in Europe and places like that too. So I feel like that keeps it a little tighter, you know, the work standard.
Yeah, keeps that standard up there.
Exactly.
Yeah, if you have a standard like that, and then you have a standard of husbandry, pretty easy to have a decent standard in the country.
Exactly.
But it's like, man, yeah, and I'm with you. That makes complete sense to me. It's like here, man, you got enough backyard ladies that they are not going to hire a
You
professional.
got firefighter Freddie over here.
You know. It's so true, dude. It's
Shooting
like
horses every other week and like just stall jacking them and just running a wreck, man.
oh,
Like,
dude.
it's crazy.
When you first brought up or told me like you're packing up and headed back to the motherland, I'm gonna call it for you. Immediately I was like thinking like, holy cow, you're moving your whole life, packing all your crap, all your stuff that you've accumulated over the years.
Dude, because you have a whole shop.
I'm selling all my crap, Coop.
Selling
That's
it
what
all.
I'm doing. Yeah.
Okay.
I mean, I'm taking a lot of stuff home, but it's wild what you accumulate over the period of 20 years, man.
Yeah.
Oh,
There's stuff
just-
I've got.
I've been in this shop that I'm in right now for about 6 years, almost 7 years, and it is crazy how much more stuff I have since the last move. So I can't imagine.
We're hoarders.
Dude,
When it comes to our
horribly.
tools, we hoard stuff, and it's like we've got drawers of tongs that I haven't used in over 15 years.
Yeah.
And they're just sitting down in there, not doing a damn thing.
Yep.
You know, but
Does that part stress you out any?
I feel like I don't get too stressed out.
I was gonna say, we know you as an easy going guy.
Yeah, I don't get too stressed out. Yeah. Well, I'm sure you do got that, like, we all do, of like that pelican size worth of hand tools. You're like, those are the ones worth the most to me.
Yeah.
Everything else is kind of exchangeable.
Exactly. Yeah.
Like, but those are the ones that I'm taking those.
Yeah, we're gonna take them.
How, like, are you gonna have to have like a shipping container, or do you get it knocked down pretty
No, I can chip away at it. You know,
have a
you
box.
can send it over there on the ship, which I think it takes up to about 45 days. It's definitely the cheapest way getting stuff over there.
Put it on a pallet.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, everything else is. A lot of people are, you know, and I do. I'm sentimental about some of the tools I have.
Yeah.
Some really close friends have made for me, and just ones that are special. All the trophy hammers you win along the way and stuff like that. And so I do have tools that, you know, have sentimental value and stuff like that. But there's a pile of stuff where they're just hammers.
Yep.
They're just tongs. They're just
Anvil.
tools. They're just there's just an anvil.
Do you pretty much have somebody lined up to buy some stuff, or are you gonna?
I've got rid of quite a bit of stuff.
You have already?
Yeah, already.
All right.
Yeah.
Been
I mean-
garage sailing. He's been out here selling driving hammers. And then he bought a new one last night in the auction.
Yeah.
So it's going really good.
That's what we're talking about, you know. We're hoarders, man.
Well, if you need help,
Yeah.
you know, trying to sell stuff, let us know, and we can.
You bet.
Put it out there for you.
You bet
Yeah,
I
it's
get-
also. Do you have any driving hammers left?
3.
So you guys have. I don't even know if there'll be 3 left by the time this comes out, but shipping's gonna get a lot higher after this.
Exactly.
Yeah.
A lot
Exactly.
higher.
And yeah, so I need to look into that. Like I said, I'd like to continue making tools when I go home. I don't know. I've got a lot of things I need to think about. Like, you know, I still like hand making them, and I've also thought about the other route too. So, you know, like maybe having a line of
somebody made 'em.
tools
Yeah.
produce for me and
Yep.
and stuff like that. So there's a lot of stuff to think about, man, and see what direction I want to go with that. But I definitely still want to keep my name in the game as far as being able to put some farrier tools out there, you know.
Yep.
Yeah.
No, I think it'll go good for you, man. I'm obviously an advocate for doing things like that because that's how I've lined up my life. But and I think it's very, you have options. You can do what the hell you want.
Yeah, that's it.
Do you already got like somewhere lined up to like move into over there, or
So I'm gonna go back to Scone for sure. That's a
it's
good
mom and
spot.
pop still got your
That's a
bedroom
good
from
spot for
kid?
me. Yeah, that's where mum and dad are from. And, you know, my family. And then also Dave, he lives just north of us in Tamworth. You know, he travels back, works in Scone every day, though. He does Arrowfield Stud, which is in Scone right there. So Scone, for me, is a pretty good spot to go back to.
Yeah.
And that's home.
Yeah. Does mom and pop got a bedroom? Are you gonna go back?
They'll be able to squeeze me in somewhere.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah. Childhood bedroom.
Squeeze me in somewhere until we get situated. Like, I might move a little later on, but I just need to go home, get my feet on the ground for about 12 months and figure out what I really want to, where I want to be. And
is it a super expensive area to
That
live?
was what I was wondering.
it
Yeah. Yeah. Well, that's why I was like, it's gorgeous.
I'm not gonna be around the
If an
bush.
area is gorgeous and it's cool place to be,
It's pretty expensive.
it's gonna be expensive.
I was wondering about that.
Like,
Yeah.
and is there a lot of land even up for grabs?
Yeah.
Or is the land also very expensive?
The land's expensive, you know. Real estate's pretty pricey, but I mean, we're not heavily populated either, though. You know what I mean? Like, she's pretty spread out.
Yeah.
You know. That's one thing I'm not gonna miss about over here is the traffic, man. The traffic, and I live in Weatherford. I don't even live in a big
It's not
city.
that bad, yeah.
But Weatherford is crazy now with traffic.
Dude,
Like,
traffic is horrible everywhere.
It's
now, it seems
insane,
Like.
like,
If you're anywhere
it's-
near people, it's just cramped.
Yeah, too
this
many
place
people.
grows so fast, you know what I mean? And yeah, it'll be good to just take a step back.
Go get, what were those, your meat pies?
A few meat pies.
Do you get the meat pie?
Smell the old eucalyptus trees, you know what I mean? Like, yeah, just...
Dude, side note, eucalyptus is probably one of my favorite smells.
It's great.
I've never smelt it, so I don't know.
The dude,
Tea tree oil?
yeah.
Maybe.
He smelt it for sure.
Maybe.
Eucalyptus.
Tea tree oil? Yeah.
The guy that does all the Christmas trees where we live, that
Yeah.
plants all those things, he's like one of the biggest exporters of eucalyptus. And so, like, that's where we hang our deer now, because in his fucking big freezer that's just filled with eucalyptus. So, like, all of our meat has, like, a little bit of, like, a
Little bit of a
eucalyptus
scent to it.
smell to it. It's like, I love it, though.
It could be worse.
Dude.
You know, it
worse.
Yeah, that's I love it. It's great.
Yeah.
Oh, man, I'm excited for you. I think it's going to be good.
Yeah.
Sounds like it's going to be something that makes you happy. And
Absolutely.
I think it's kind of
I think it's nice to know, too, you're a traveler, dude. You're not the type of guy who's like, well, last time we see him.
it's kind of, I think, sentimental for us to have you on here to hear about the future and what you got going on. And we're probably not going to see you for a while. And
Yeah, but I'll definitely be back. You know, definitely be back over here to do some contests and, you know, Greg puts on some of the best contests in the world, man.
you kind of have plans maybe to try and do the Spruce Meadows sometime in the
Absolutely,
future.
that's definitely on the bucket list. Haven't been able to make it up there the last couple of years, you know, but it's definitely on the bucket list. Like I said, I'm getting a little older now, so it's like time is of the essence, you know. Like, I'd like to get up there the next 4 or 5 years, you know.
I don't know. Like, are you older than Steven? I don't know.
We'd
I don't know
have
how
to
Steven
be
is.
pretty close to the same
yeah?
age.
Yeah.
I'm 44.
Oh, yeah?
44.
Yeah.
Man,
You got plenty of years left.
Yeah. You're young and spry.
Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah.
Quit smoking cigs, man. You got
Yeah,
another
we'll
10
be
years
all right.
on you.
Yeah.
You're way healthier than dude. It's
Well, it's
funny,
so
like
expensive.
compared to the first time I met you.
Oh, yeah.
Just,
Yeah.
dude, Big Macs and cigs
Pack a
and
day.
a beer on the freaking tailgate.
Yeah.
Right on the next to the fire.
Maybe a few liquor drinks that night. You know?
Exactly,
Yeah.
dude. Now everybody's a little healthier.
Yeah, those days hurt now.
Yeah, dude, exactly. Right there with you.
Yeah.
Well, shit, man. Thanks for taking the time with us and catching up with us before you head out. And
Yeah, it's been a blast, man. Appreciate
wish
you
the
guys
best
having
for
me
you.
on.
Yeah, thanks
it's
for
always a
sitting
good
down
time.
again.
Yeah, and it's been good. It's been good watching you guys grow too. You know,
Man, you've been a
the
big
podcast has been awesome. It's some really good watching.
influence in both of our careers for sure, man.
Yeah.
You've always been around.
Yeah.
So
Yeah, you helped
Appreciate
me
ya.
out a lot throughout the years and inspired a lot of things for me to go and try and do too. So
There you go. Unreal.
appreciate
Yeah.
it.
Awesome. Thanks, guys.
not a goodbye. See you later,
Yeah.
dude.
Thank you.
Thanks for listening, everybody.
Since 1977, Rusty Brown has been producing jewelry that has much more meaning than just equestrian-themed jewelry. It's designed by farriers who live and breathe horses, lovingly referred to as the blue-collar jeweler because every piece is proudly made here in the United States of America by the hands of retired Marines. Stop by and visit our booth, or check us out online at rustybrownjewelry.com.
It's really cool to have Rusty Brown sponsoring the podcast. They are a jewelry company that, they have all these different designs that are come up by farriers like Mark Milster, Jim Keith, and many others, and Tom Willoughby as well. And we all know Tom's a very artistic guy. Their jewelry is all designed by people that we all know and created by people that we've also heard about too. So you can go to their website, use code BRAINS, and get yourself 20% off anything that you want to order on their website. They've got a lot of pretty cool designs. If you have a significant other or a friend or even yourself, go sport yourself some pretty cool jewelry.